And Mikey, it's better late than never, I say.
We're here. We were always here. You just couldn't see us. We were here and we were laughing about all the things you were saying about us. Like they're late again. Aren't they ever going to get on the air? And we would laugh and we would chuckle and nudge one another in the ribs.
Listen, we were busy watching y'all last night for Valentine's Day, keeping an eye on what you were doing.
That was
you,
embarrassing.
you,
It
you. We
was
saw
very
you.
hard. It was very hard to watch
I don't know how she could wake up next to you after that.
after that, or go to sleep for that matter.
Yeah, actually, I think it's more about going to sleep than it is waking up.
I just used the word nudge to nudge someone in the with the elbow and the lips, and that is spelled Nudge. Am I right?
Yes, I believe so.
Now we go to the Yiddish word nudge. When someone is a nudge and they just won't leave you alone and they're pestering you and they won't stop and they can't stop and it's just in their blood, they're a nudge. Now, how do you spell that? Nudge. I spell it
I
with two
think it's
O's.
Nuge,
Nuge.
like a
Nudge.
nudge.
But there's a D in there. Nudge.
I, yeah, I don't know if there's a D in there. I think there's a D in the pronunciation,
Is the
but I
D
think
only
it's
implied?
yeah, I think the D is implied. Now, again, I could be wrong. It's one of those words like forget about it. It has several. You can use it in several. It has different meanings.
I had learned the word forget about it from Herbert Kane, the famous columnist for the San Francisco Chronicle.
Who used
And
it liberally?
he used it in one as one word. Forget about it.
Yeah, with a U, I believe he used to spell it.
Yeah, forget it.
Yeah,
That's right.
forget about it.
Forget about it. Would you say forget about it is one word?
Um, yeah. I think in modern American English, yeah, the forget about it as used in now. If you're in the hospital and the doctor comes in and he bops into your table and you tell him forget about it. That's a different forget about it. That's three words. Forget about it. Don't think
Forget about
anything
it.
else of it.
Think nothing else.
Think nothing else of it. But if you tell the doctor, I'm going to have a couple of those guys outside come in and talk to you and forget about it, that's a whole different forget about it.
That's not good news. Doctors are used to giving bad news. This is a time when they receive bad news, and
Right.
they have to be. You saw what happened to the doctors on the Sopranos. Doctors didn't come off that well always.
Doctors did not, yeah. There was an expectation with doctors on The Sopranos that they would cure anything you had. And as we know,
That's not
there's
the way it
only so
works.
much that a doctor or anybody could do. Especially if they take you to the office at 3 o'clock in the morning, with a couple of bullet holes in your heart.
That's tough. That's a tough thing to fix.
I don't care what kind of doctor you are, unless you happen to have another heart lying around, and a whole bunch of anti-rejection medicine.
But one thing we can say from watching The Sopranos is if Junior calls you, take his call. Okay, that's my advice. Talk to
Yeah,
him. Tell him it's going to be okay. Make an appointment. Tell him you're going to fix it. It's going to be better. He's got to be patient. Get the right state of mind. But don't put off taking his calls because the Soprano boys will meet you on the golf course over by the water hazard,
yeah,
and
and they're not
and
shy.
and you might have a bee in your hat.
And you can ask Big Pussy; they're not shy
No,
about, throwing their best friends overboard.
that happens. That's what the overboarder's for.
That's why they put an ocean outside the boat.
That's why
Uh,
we need a boat. And then later, after you've thrown pussy over the side, you can anchor the boat off to your investor's house, the guy who was going to sell you the house,
yeah,
and then play Dean Martin's live in Las Vegas at 10 all through the evening.
I
And that's something you won't be able to forget about.
well, I think. Well, see, there you go. Forget about it. I mean, at that point, you're going to move, right? I mean,
At least go
at
to the
that point, you're
motel.
giving him what he wants. Just get him away from me and my family. You mentioned. By the way, we didn't say this yet. We are live on YouTube. He's Michael Knight. I'm New York Vinnie, and he's in California. I'm in Washington, and together we're Mikey and Vinnie. that join you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, usually at 10:10. It seems this morning we both kind of zoned a little bit. And
Today, both our clocks got away from us. And have you ever seen a cartoon where the clock has legs
oh yeah, yeah, that was
and
us.
and time is running away from you, and time is running out, and time's a wasted. That's something
Oh,
Yosemite Sam would say. Time's a wasted.
I say, boy, time's a wasting. And I guess that's not Yosemite Sam. That's
That was
Foghorn
Leghorn.
Leghorn.
Yeah,
Foghorn Leghorn.
who was the senator from your state? What state? Whatever state you're from. Where are you from? I'm from Arkansas. There's your senator, boy. I'll say there's your senator.
Oh man, the one thing I always is I still can't figure out is how did David Chase, the creator of The Sopranos, make such a perfect television series that had just about everything in it that you could ask for in a television series, including violence and love and psychiatry, everything. How did he make such a perfect television series and make such a horrible movie about it?
I think he got out of shape. I think he lost the edge that he had with The Sopranos because everything that they were doing felt right, looked right, worked right. There was a realism to it. You didn't expect Tony to be running away from the feds in the snow in his loafers, but there he was, and you could feel his cold feet. You knew what was going on. You knew what he was suffering through. You know how his heart was beating and where he was how he had to get away. But all that edge and all that emotion and all that vulnerability disappeared in the movie. You didn't have anything invested in these people. In fact, you wanted it to be great. We were on your side.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
be a great movie.
Yeah, you wanted this to be something. And we're talking about The Many Saints of Newark, the prequel to the Sopranos that came out during the pandemic, and was just maybe
Prequels
one
are
of
tough.
the one of the worst. Oh, I'm not even going to say worst mob movies I've ever seen. One of the worst overall movies that I could think of that I ever seen. There was just no redeeming value anywhere in the movie, and they must have known it because they had Gandolfini's son in it, and maybe they thought that would bring some eyes to it or something like that. But he wasn't trained. He got the Sofia Coppola Award. He may be a genius somewhere down the road, but in that time space, in that job, he will not. It's not going to happen for him.
I don't know if the kid's going to become an actor or not, but what they've done now is giving him an impossible first role. Be your father. Well, what are the chances? Impossible. And there's something about the creative font, the creative source that we go back to over and over again to get inspiration. And whatever David Chase turned to when he was doing the show, he turned to something else entirely differently for inspiration when he did the movie because it just wasn't right. The funny thing about it is when you look at somebody, the great thing I like about the Beatles movie, the one that was done by Peter Jackson, is that it showed the ongoing, never stopping font of inspiration that Paul McCartney was.
Right.
He never put down his instrument the whole time he was there. He was playing the piano, playing the guitar, playing the bass, singing, always coming up, he didn't have lyrics for Get Back. He had the dum, 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 dum. He had some of the melody, he had pieces of it. But while everybody else is talking about this and that, and are they recording us? What are we doing? How many songs do we have to have? Where are we going to do the concert? He is the vehicle by which the song is taking shape, and it happens right there in front of your eyes. And he has learned to live with it and to honor it and to take advantage of these moments of inspiration, which I think probably become more intense when he's around the other guys. If you're Lennon and McCartney and you're supposed to be writing songs every day, you better write a song today.
Yeah.
Where's it going to come from? Well, I don't know. I can't even think of it. But what about boom, 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 boom? Oh, okay, that's a start. I'm not saying no. Yeah, okay, let's start with that. But nobody helped him. Nobody said, "Hey, you could change to a D right there." You could say Jojo. Who's this guy Jojo? Where is he going? Tell the story about Jojo, Paul. But nobody said a word to him. In fact, they were ignoring the fact that he was creating this song. They were, I think, used to it. And whatever David Chase used to do for The Sopranos, it must have come to him like that. He would sit and make notes on what was going to be happening. Stevie, when it was time to kill Buscemi, do you think they wanted to kill him? Did they have to kill him because he was getting a part in another movie and his shooting days with The Sopranos were over? Did they warn him? Hey, warn the character in this episode. Show that Tony's upset with him, and even though it's his cousin, this has gone on just about far enough. This has
Right.
gone on a
Well,
little.
one thing when you're in a mafia movie, though, is you know that
Somebody's
at
going to
any
get whacked.
moment. I mean, that's the only part that you play, even if you're a staunch series regular.
Yeah.
That one day, you're gonna get it. It's kind of like if you play a cop in a movie or in a television show. You don't think that's why when Joe Coffey got it on Hill Street Blues, Ed Marinaro was such a shock. It wasn't there wasn't any tip in advance. There wasn't any. It was just he walked out of a store and boom,
And that was that.
and got it, and that was that. There wasn't even. I mean, it was one of the. I mean, I'm sure some people knew about it. I certainly didn't. And when I saw him get killed, it was truly an emotional moment. Or the famous story about McLean Stevenson in MASH, where
Tell me the story.
when McLean Stevenson left MASH, the producers of MASH were so upset that he wanted to leave that they killed his character. But what they did is they didn't tell anybody until the day of the shooting.
Whoa.
So they're all assembled for the final scene of the show of the season in the operating room, and Radar was just told moments before. Matter of fact, I take that back. I don't even think he was told. He was handed an envelope, and they told him to go in and read this. And they were going to roll on it the first time. No rehearsal. Just, obviously they knew how to do the operating room scene. They sent
Right.
him in. He opened up the envelope and said Henry Blake's plane was shot down over the Pacific. There were no survivors, which was a thing that was used back in the movie Mr. Roberts.
Same
That, that,
line.
that same, well, not the same line, but the same vehicle of having somebody come in. And now I don't know if Mr. Roberts was rehearsed or not, but this was not rehearsed. This was a surprise to the
Wow.
entire cast. And several people have written about it. Ken Levine and Loretta Swit and several people have written how absolutely devastated they were that McLean Stevenson had been, there was no possibility of him coming back.
He was
You know,
done.
it was done. That was it. They were so pissed off at him that they killed him. They killed his
Well,
character.
this is coming up again, Vinny, and one of the top television shows in the nation, Yellowstone, starring Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner and the producer have come to an impasse, and Kevin Costner has made it very plain in public and in the press that he wants out and is done, and may never return to even finish the scenes that he has outstanding, which leaves him with a position they have to kill now the governor of Montana, because that's the part that he's playing. He plays a rancher with a ranch that's twice the size of the city of New York. Hell, it's twice the size of the boroughs of New York all put together. And he's got this huge ranch, and he runs for governor, saying that he's if you're into progress and the next big thing for Montana, I'm your enemy. We're going to wind it back to the way it used to be. And he wins on that ticket. His adopted son is the attorney general for the state, who works secretly with the corporations against his father. The Costner and his dutiful daughter are plotting, or seem to be plotting, his demise. They're going to have to get rid of him to ensure their power base remains the same. And I can see now that Costner is not going to survive the struggle. They have to kill him off somehow. He's going to be done, and they might as well do it. But they don't even have the rights to film the death scene with Costner because he may never return to the set.
Wow. Well, that's kind of a drag that he wouldn't at least. I mean, I don't know the backstory. I've never seen the show. Fortunately or unfortunately.
I think it's unfortunate. I think you'd love it.
Well, you know that's the great thing about TV these days.
I know it's always there.
It's there. I can start watching it tonight. Yeah, I think that it's depending on the circumstances, you should go back and finish at least. Let them kill you off, right?
This is what happens when the lead, like McLean Stevenson or Kevin Costner, comes not up against the script, not up against their characters, not up against the shooting schedule, but up against the executive producer. And that's that's really where the buck stops. You thought Kevin Costner was in charge of that filming because he was the lead character, number one and well known, and a box office hit, was going to have the ability to have things his way, not up against the producer. That's how. Ask McLean Stevenson about that one.
Now, was he not? Is Kevin Costner not the producer of that show?
He's a participating producer, but he doesn't. Okay. But he's also the lead, so they know they can't give him. Otherwise, he'd be suddenly turned into the producer, director, star. Right. You can't have that.
Right. Interesting. I'll have to start watching it because I've heard from several people that it's good. I'm not a big westerns fan.
No, it's a modern western.
It's a modern western, yeah. But there's something. It's really weird. I love to go to Montana. I love to drive around Montana and Wyoming. But I'm not. I've never been like a. I didn't love it because of what I saw when I was a kid, and that, and that kind of stuff. I loved it because when I got there, it was in color instead of black and white.
Yeah,
I was like, "Whoa, this is beautiful, man."
Also, the Rockies, as they come from Canada into the United States, are probably at their most dramatic. The mountains there are hard to describe how beautiful they are. The Garden Gate.
Yeah, it's really it's I've been through there a number of times, and matter of fact, just the last time when I was coming out here, went through Casper and I forget what a couple of the cities in what is there's not many to choose from.
Billings.
I think I was Billings and Casper, whatever I-90 kind of goes through.
Billings, Butte, and Barnaby.
Yeah, and then I've been, the other way. I mean, I've gone through it a number of times, and matter of fact, I have a couple of friends that live in what is it, Flathead Lake, by Polson and that area, and
they're by the national park. Glacier by Glacier.
Yeah, and that's a pretty beautiful area. Matter of fact, I went on my honeymoon to my last honeymoon to Banff and drove from here to Banff and then down through.
I'm sorry. How did you pronounce that? How did you pronounce the name of that town?
Banff.
There you go, Banff.
Yeah, it's 2 F's. Banff. Banff.
My only rule about Montana, and there's only one, and that is I'm going in the summer. What about now? What about the winter? No.
I've been through in December.
Not even in a balloon when I go over Montana.
And it's friggin' cold. And I mean, it is. Matter of fact, I went through in December. I've been through in December. I've been through in November, and I've been through in March.
They have what I call professional winters there, industrial winters.
Yeah, industrial strength winters. Yes. It is not. It's no joke.
In fact, you can forget about it.
No, forget about it. It's so cold. You don't even want to get out of the car. I mean, forget heated seats, man. I built a fire in the car. I mean, that's
it's a shop outlet. We can go in there and buy shirts for $2 off. No, forget about it.
And when you live in that kind of place, do you get used to the cold? I mean, does it? I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, here's like people going across the country in a covered wagon. Now, I got to think that the covered wagon, number one, doesn't have heat.
No, or
It, it, it,
heated buckboard.
right? There's no heat. There's no heated seat. There's no nothing. It's basically what you got on your back is what's going to keep you warm.
You're sitting on your heater.
Yeah, your body temperature is what's heating you. So that's number one. Number two, how the hell are the horses not freeze to death?
They do.
I mean, and then what do you do if you're, bopping along on a, bum, 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 and all of a sudden the horse seizes?
I always thought that they paid so little attention to it because no matter what's going on in a cowboy movie, you can't go anywhere. You can't have any of your dreams come true. You can't save yourself. You can't survive the existence without your horse. And what do you do with it? You run it. You don't give it any water. You never see a cowboy feeding his horse. You tie it up at night in on a long lead rope, and that's it. You don't think of your horse till the morning. What makes you think it's still gonna? What makes you think your horse is gonna be there in the morning?
You got to be thinking of the horse. I mean, how could you get along without thinking of the horse? I mean, it's like not changing the oil in the car. I mean, eventually it's gonna go. The engine's gonna go belly up. Well, if you don't feed the horse, I mean, they got to be feeding them sometime. There's got to be. But where did they stop? I mean, you see these guys and they're going through these trails. First of all, no signs.
No, there's
And
no signs.
there's no 495 this way and Butte this way and
No,
Casper this way. It's
you gotta know. You just have to know.
you gotta figure. You gotta look up at the stars. Could you imagine today if they just took all of the road signs off of the roads? Forget even just taking the roads. Just take all of the signs off of the roads and see
Roads
what
stay the same.
happens.
Well, I can tell you what sort of cacophony and end of civilization would visit the city I'm in right now. It would be a little difficult to get around. Isn't that it? I took this exit every day. I can't think of it. I think this is it. No, we're in Van Nuys. What is a Van Nuys? I've never been there. You've lived here all your life. Yes, but we were told never to go there.
I think it'd be hilarious. Just take all the signs away for a day and see how people, people who think they know their way to work would all of a sudden be, I go this road, that road, down it.
Hello, Dad. Where are you? I can't say. Somewhere between Woodland Hills and Orange County. I don't know where I am. I don't even know what freeway I'm on.
That would be if they were going to remake the day the Earth stood still. That would be a great, a great subplot. Is Gortu and his pals just instead of stopping the electricity, all they do is just take away all the signs.
I, and it would star the people from Saturday Night Live who do the California talk thing. Where are you going? I'm taking the 405 to Sunset and then left into Brentwood.
But I don't know where the 405
But I
is.
don't know where the Sunset is. I think it went by it.
I'm looking for a sign and I don't see
You're
one.
not on the 405. You're on the 10 heading to Santa Monica. I am not.
It'd be pretty funny, man. That would be.
Oh,
I
the
think
horror.
I think in the remake, that's what they ought to do. You got a free plot line here.
The day the signs disappeared.
The day the signs disappeared. Well, Mikey, do you feel any better now that pitchers and catchers are reporting and everybody's in? Well, I don't know if everybody's in everywhere, but the pitchers and the catchers are in, and they're throwing the ball around. If you're in Arizona or Florida, you're getting a snap of the ball in the glove.
It's a great sound.
It really is.
It's a great image. But there's a movie made by the guy who made The Day the Signs Disappeared called Throwing the Ball Around. And it's spring training, but they only have one ball. And they have to learn how to share. It's a movie about learning.
It's it's just the first. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Was last they had the Was last season the lockout, or was it the season before? I'm forgetting now.
There was no lockout. There was threatened lockout.
Right, threatened, but they moved the season down. Remember, they lost like the first two series, and they had to play them like at the end of the year.
That was 2 years. I guess that was
Was that 2 years ago?
at least.
I'm forgetting now. Anyway, it seems like this will be the first normal season that we'll see.
Now, there's one abnormality that I have to tell you about. The Smokey Burgess rule is back. The man
Is
at
it
second
back?
base. The man at second base. They're going to
How,
keep it.
do, how does the sport survive when they change the rule every year? I mean, do they not realize, does Rob Manfred and those people not realize that part of the allure of baseball, part of what makes you okay to put up with the slowness of games and this and that, is the fact that it's constant.
It's tradition.
It's tradition. The rules are the same rules, basically. It's the same game, basically, that you played when you played on the sandlot, when you played in Little League, when you had a choose-up game with your friends at the schoolyard.
There's one thing that is going to change this year, and I don't know how it's going to affect the game. Maybe more guys will be safe at second, and that is the bases are different. They're larger and flatter. They're like a pizza box.
Yeah, that ought to be fun. I mean, I don't know if people. I guess.
I think people were getting hurt sliding into base.
I guess people are going to notice the difference. Players will. I just, boy, it's. I don't. There are certain changes, I guess, I don't mind, but it seems like these changes. I mean, the Smokey Burgess rule, without a doubt, affected the outcome of games.
Oh God, yes.
So how do you now compare the 2020 record or 2021 that was a bit more normal? How do you compare that with 2020 and 23? And being as they don't use and didn't use the Smokey Burgess rule in the postseason, how is the postseason even the same game?
It's not the same game. It's not the same game at all. And by the way, if you don't know the Smokey Burgess rule, if you're going into extra innings, you start the top of the 10th with a man at second base, and that man must be Smokey Burgess. Or if you have a backup bullpen catcher, you can use him.
Well, we have advocated that on this show for the past 3 years have advocated that person who they sendeth out in the extra innings to run should not be an active roster player, but should be a recently retired within 5 years or so, or 10 years or something, player. So the Mariners would carry Ken Griffey Jr., let's say, or Edgar Martinez on their roster, and he would be the person that goes out to second base and runs. It would give fans a chance to see an old player, and it would give old players a chance to go back to the hospital.
We don't want to see Usain Bolt score from second base. Are you kidding? That's not baseball.
It's not fun.
That's track and field. No, put Smokey Burgess out there. Now let's see you get him in.
Yeah, now you got to do something.
That one's in the gap. One bounce to the wall. Smokey stops at third.
Now Smokey is stopped between home and third. He's having a conversation with the third base coach.
He hesitates at shortstop, and no, he's still going. Barely. Here's the throw.
Okay, here we go. Here's what you need to know. Here is the rules change. Okay, the shift. All four infielders at the time a pitch is thrown are required to be on the infield dirt or infield grass with two on each side of second base. So no more shift.
No more shift.
Goodbye. Let's see. The new pitch clock. Pitchers will have 15 seconds to throw a pitch
Not going to
with the
happen.
bases empty and 20 seconds with a runner on base. Hitters will need to be in the batter's box with 8 seconds on the pitch clock. So now you've taken away the one of the great things about the game,
Right.
which is that it's timeless. It's endless. There is no clock. A pitcher can take all day unless the umpire gives him the signal to go. What was wrong with the umpire saying, let's go, let's move it?
And no tie games.
I mean, okay, pickoffs are changed. You
How do you
can't.
change
Let's see. Pickoffs are one version of a disengagement, which consists of any time the pitcher makes a pickoff attempt, fakes a pickoff, or simply steps off the rubber for any reason, as well as when the defense requests time. Pitchers are allowed 2 disengagements per plate appearance without penalty. The disengagements rule resets if a runner or runners advance a base within the same plate appearance. In other words, the game, which I used to love, of the guy stepping off the rubber, the pitcher stepping off the rubber, and the batter stepping out of the box, then the batter stepping in, and the pitcher stepping off the. I used to love to watch that. There were guys that were masters at that.
I saw one of them play for the Giants. His name was Juan Marichal. Juan Marichal loved to do it on the road because he would get the home crowd involved. They would start booing him, and he'd step off the rubber and they'd boo him. Then he'd throw to first, they'd boo him. Then he'd take the ball, go into the windup, throw to first, slow, like I couldn't care less about this throw. And now the crowd is on their feet; they're incensed. So he would do it 3 times, 4 times, and get the crowd more involved in it each time. And now the runner is distracted by what's going on. And Juan had one of the best moves to first base ever, but he wouldn't show it until he had the runner distracted, and then he'd plow one over there, and you better be quick because here comes the ball.
And I guess what they're trying to do is get more stolen bases in the game, which I agree with to a certain degree, because stolen bases, according to this article, were down to just 0.51 per game in 2022. In the 1980s, the stolen base rates hovered around the 0.75 range. So they're trying to get guys to run more.
And maybe it'd be easier to slide with the smaller bases, the thinner bases. They're actually larger in size, but smaller in terms of height. It's not that big bag that's a great place to sprain your ankle.
From 15 inches to 18 inches will go the bases. They say it will reduce injuries around them while increasing stolen base attempts. So I guess they don't want guys hitting each other, and they figured that if you move the base out 3 inches, but that was supposed to happen when you did the slide rule, right? No spikes up slides.
It's that thing about if you're going from first to third, navigating second base is not an easy thing. You got to be able to time your strides. And many guys have sprained ankles or caught their spikes or hit their toe going around second, and you feel like a fool because you don't fall down until you get to shortstop, and then there's no place to go. You're in no man's land. You can crawl to third if you can.
And position players pitching. Teams will be more limited when they can pitch a position player. Previous rule allowed them to see. This is such bullcrap. Why should there even be any? I mean, if you want to put a pitcher in, if you want to put a left fielder in there to pitch, you should be allowed to do that.
Yep. Now you have to choose a pitcher from an acceptable list of non-pitching throwers.
Let's see. Previous rule allowed them to use a position player when up or down by 6 or more runs. But the sides are discussing a tweak in which the leading team would have to be up by as many as 10 more, while the trailing team would have to be down by 8 or more in order to pitch a position player. So in essence, we're going to get a mercy rule.
I'm amazed that they don't have more of that actually, because I think some outfielders and some catchers especially make pretty good pitchers.
Well, it's interesting how much it was. It's really just I don't know, just a real joke, just an absolute joke. I mean, they're
Are there any rules about where the manager can stand? Can the manager still stand up in the dugout, or does he have to be seated at all times?
no, I think he's got to be seated. I think there has to be gum on the seat.
Ooh, bubble gum or regular chewing gum?
Bubble gum. I don't think you see do you even see regular chewing gum in a baseball? I mean, I don't know anybody who chewed juicy fruit. I mean, they always seem to have that bucket of sugar-free or sugared double bubble. That seems to reside in every. And the reason they use that, I think, is because the chew would stick to it.
Oh
The
God!
tobacco, and it would form like this
Clean your
huge,
teeth.
yeah, this huge kind of gamey. And I remember walking in the club in the dugout after a game, and you just see these wads of pink and brown disgust.
Yeah, the millionaire baseball players cannot be convinced or paid enough to clean up their own bubble gum. They leave it for the dugout boy.
Now that may have changed with COVID.
No, I don't think so.
But I remember, boy, there was sometimes you'd walk in that dugout, you'd look down, and it was just the most disgusting. I mean,
Dugouts are awful, dirty places. A lot of great stories come from there, but a lot of great diseases are spread thereby.
yeah. If you've been in a dugout, you've had. I mean, I remember. What was it in 2000 or 2001? I forget. Um, Carlos Guillen, who was the shortstop for the Mariners at the time, somehow contracted tuberculosis. And we all had to go get, anybody who was around the club had to go get TB tests.
Yep.
And I can remember, just how filthy that dugout was with everybody's, spit. And I'm surprised they don't just pull down their pants and crap in there. Although I'm sure that one or two have in their
I'm sure they have. I'm sure
illustrious careers.
While doing an interview live on Fox.
Yeah, exactly. I always thought it was, it was like, good God, why would anybody why would you want to sit in here? I mean, it was like the most, it's not a man, people, well, it's a manly thing. No, it's not
No,
a
it's
manly
not.
thing.
It's a stupid, ugly, dangerous, ugly, garbagey, trashy thing.
Yeah, I was like, I remember somebody telling me once, oh, you're so lucky you get to sit in the dugout. You get to hang out in the dugout before the game and talk to.
Before the game, that's before the tragedy starts.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, listen, I used to be the guy who would be at the end of the dugout, would do the first post-game interview, and when Cairo had the rights, and man, I got to tell you, it was disgusting, to stand in that dugout and try to, get somebody, because it was brutal. One of the most disgusting places I've ever had to work.
So street shoes in the dugout is a danger.
You want boots, man. You want boots. And you take and I remember I used to take my boots off before I would go in the house
to get the gum out of there.
I would leave them in the front of the house. Because I was like, my God, what am I tracking? What are you tracking in? Now that, the gum was always seemed to be put. I mean, I don't know that I ever stepped in gum. I did actually. Now I think about it. But you had to hop around all the
all the other stuff.
Yeah, there was stuff there. You know.
So if I had an interview with Aaron Judge, I say, you're making, I don't know how many $1 million a year. Does it ever occur to you that your working conditions are less than modern with all the spit and crap and bubble gum and everything else that's on the floor of the dugout? How can you work and live like this?
You know, I'm surprised that some player, just as I'm surprised that there hasn't been, there's two lawsuits that I am surprised have not been filed yet. Number one is by a Major League Baseball player who contracted some kind of disease from sitting in a dugout in that kind of, just cesspool. And the other one, in honor of National Radio Day, is I'm surprised that there has not been a class action or some kind of suit against every radio company for hearing loss. Because we've all worked in worked in studios where you were encouraged to crank up the headphones.
If you wanted to hear what you were doing.
And now, if you talk to somebody that's been in radio a long time,
Huh?
huh, huh, what'd you say? I can't hear you. What'd you say? That's pretty much what you get.
That's what you get.
That's pretty much what, if you're married to a long-time radio person, that's what you're getting when you say good morning, huh?
They know who you are, but they haven't heard your voice in years.
Yeah. Or you have to, and I'm surprised to this day that there hasn't been somebody, because I know I have I have it. I can't hear as I used to hear. I'm surprised somebody hasn't filed some kind of lawsuit with, against
I had
Clear
what you would
Channel
call
or
normal hearing loss based on exactly what you're talking about. But I was in a car accident last summer where I hit my head pretty good, and that made it far worse. So I've got hearing aids now. I don't wear them here because I have
right.
this, and in this, Vinnie's voice keeps me company, and I can hear every word he says.
How do the hearing aids work for you?
They help. They're not an answer to everything, and I don't know if there's a $10,000 pair that can do a better job with equalization and compression and all the other audio tricks that they could use. But they definitely help, especially watching television and hearing the voices of other people from across the room.
Yeah.
But it is not a cure-all to hearing loss by any means.
Yeah, I might have to look into that because I've remarkably noticed or noticed my hearing going down more and more as and nobody tells you that when you go into a radio station the first time. Nobody says to you, don't crank up the headphone. Matter of fact, again, you're encouraged to crank up the headphones so you can hear what's going on. Anybody you've ever met in the radio, crank them up, man. How many times have you walked into a studio and you could hear the headphones louder than the monitor speakers?
Well, how many other jobs require to wear headsets? I guess jet pilots.
Yeah.
Who else?
Any kind of sound engineer, a recording engineer, FBI agent, probably.
Always.
They got to sit in the truck with the recorder. And, and I always wondered about that. I always had trouble with the reel-to-reel recorder. How did those guys do that in a van that was moving down the street?
I always worried about it because he's got a little roll of tape on there that won't last 20 minutes, and he's recording a whole day. No, you're not. You're recording 10 minutes. You're out of tape, Bubba. You didn't record everything.
Right. We know how that works, man. I've seen that story before.
And they're recording at 15 inches per second, so the thing just goes whoop, 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 and it's done.
Right. You can't record that stuff at three. What was the lowest thing?
3.5.
3.5 IPS. Yeah, because you go
3.5, 7.5, and 15.5. Why was a half? I don't know. But 7.5, 3.5, and 15.5.
Yeah, those were the speeds that
inches per second.
The tape would go inches per second. And then they finally came out with cassettes, and that solved everybody's problem.
Well, the hard disk was the real savior.
Yeah, you had, well, yeah, that was, well, once you got to the hard disk, then you got to the Vox Pro and that kind of stuff, and now everybody can record, I mean, just right on your computer. I mean, we all have a recording studio in our house now, and virtually a radio station.
In fact, I was reading about George Martin and the Beatles today. Remember their song "Girl," sung by John Lennon?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He wanted it to be intimate sounding. He wanted the listener to be able to hear him breathe between vocal sounds. So if you remember in that song, it's where in the chorus you hear him go, take a big deep breath. But it wouldn't record that way because a breath is not very dynamic. So George Martin recorded it, compressed it so it was brighter and more noticeable, and then used that as in the final recording. So that John got his breathing sound, and everybody else heard it. Thought he was pulling on a joint or taking a deep inhale or whatever he was doing.
It probably was.
I want to hear the breathing. Well, give me a minute.
Oh man, the things that the history of rock and roll. Um,
Oh, it's a good story.
Always a good story somewhere there. Speaking about good stories, did you happen to watch any of the Nikki Haley announcement this morning?
I saw her dress, which I thought was a poor choice. It was one of these reflective, the kids' toys where you rub them one way, it's the color is pink. You rub it the other way, the color is blue.
Yeah, it's like,
It reminded me of one of those children's stuffed toys that she was wearing. Um, Wear a business suit next time, Haley. That's what you do when you make an announcement like that. She wasn't hosting a cocktail party, but she looked like she was. She was making an announcement, and I just thought that her outfit was poorly chosen. It didn't show a serious candidate. It showed a housewife who was having everybody over for tea.
yeah, it's funny. I really didn't notice that much once she started talking. Um, I was struck by a number of things she said. Maybe the biggest, well, two things that she said that really kind of made me like go, oh, what planet are you living on? Was America is not a racist country.
Not if you're a
Um,
Republican, no problem.
yeah, and she's, it's funny because it looks like she's going to try to walk on both sides of the street. She's going to play herself up as a woman of color because she's Indian, of Indian descent. And so she's going to play herself up as a woman of color who got along in a small town where they didn't know what Indians were. Uh, and I can't believe that you would be an Indian in a small town in North Carolina, South Carolina, I guess, and not experience racism or prejudice or any of it. It's beyond my comprehension
So that's
that
her contention that there are no racists in America.
right America is not a racist country. Um, Evidently, she's been riding around in limousines a bit too long.
This is the well thought out position that she's taken, hoping to get the minority vote. I take it.
I guess she must be held. Matter of fact, I could imagine that the folks from the the Southern Christian Leadership Conference are at her house right now, trying to knock on the door, saying, "Listen, Nikki, we want to get in on this before anything really. We want, Al Sharpton's probably begging her to be able to endorse her right now.
Because look what she's accomplished. She's erased racism in one day.
It's gone. So that and that she wants to give politicians over 75 a psychological test.
She wants to do it. She's
She
going to
says
administer the
that
test.
we will give politicians over 75 um, a cognitive, a test to see if they have all their facilities.
And if they don't, they from being a senator, they become a codger, right? You're just an old codger. You're not a senator.
I guess if they don't pass the test, you can remove them from office.
So is it the Nikki Haley provided test? Is she going to be asking like, am I a racist? And do you know what an Indian is?
I don't know. I don't know what the test is going to be. I mean, I guess it's going to be developed with the world's best Republican scientists.
Oh, Rand Paul. Rand Paul, definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure Rand is working on that one right now. But my question to that was quickly and simply, what about Marjorie Taylor Greene? Are you going to give her a test? Are you going to give, those psychos a test?
They're too young. They got to be older than that.
You got to give Louis Gompert a test.
Give Louis Prima a test, for crying out loud. He didn't have one when he was alive.
Louis would pass any test.
I think he would.
Louis was a fun guy, man. He would go up there on the floor of Congress. He would take the podium and he'd say, "Hamala Hisley, Hamala Hisley, Hamala Hisley, Boozley Bop," and that would be his platform.
And Sam Butera, of course, was a gifted individual who it's jump, jump, jump.
Josephina, please don't lean on the bell. When you mush, please don't push on the bell. Oh, it's the other guy. I ate antipasta twice because he looked so nice. Angelina, the waitress at the pizzeria. E voglio bene.
More antipasto.
Yes, Louis Prima for president. You know what? He'd do a better job dead than half the people I know would alive.
Well, I think poor Nikki Haley's going to have a rough ride because none of the opposition has started, and it will. It will come.
Well, I think that, I mean, I like the idea that, they've come up with somebody, I don't want to say fresh.
It'd be hard to call it fresh.
Yeah, to run. But she's been around a while. She's not a newcomer, which I think you want in a president. You want somebody with some experience, but I don't know. I'm thinking, is that the best they can, come up with? And
she's out of her league. She's out of her depth. She doesn't have the experience, the personality, the record, or the vision to even come close to being president.
Well, it'll be interesting to see because, she's the first one in the Republican Party to go against Trump.
But she never mentioned his name, did she?
Yeah, I think she did. But she mentioned it in context of I was President Trump's U.S. ambassador. But when she said the cognizance test or the mental acuity test for people over 75, well, that includes Trump and Biden.
Yep. Well, so she was referring to both of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. I mean, she's got a hard road. She's going to have to, get past Biden. I mean, get past Trump. He's not giving up anytime soon. Now, there's a thought that I've heard a number of political commentators say, well, maybe she's just, going for it because I don't want to break any. I don't know if this will be breaking news here, Michael, but I don't think that Mike Pence is going to be Donald Trump's running mate.
No, he won't. And
if he gets the nomination.
I think he's going to run, but I'm not certain of it. But I think there could be a hailstorm of candidates coming up, all trying to say, look, I wasn't going to declare this quickly, but Haley's out of the box. Trump is running. That's 2. If I'm in a hurry, maybe I can make it 3. But by the time I announce, it could be 4, it could be 5. And then when you're the 6th, 7th, and 8th candidate, or the 10th or 12th, it gets to be a bit of a joke.
Well, if Trump goes down in flames like many expect him to, I'm not so convinced he's going to get But if Trump goes down in flames, Haley will obviously be the first person in the Republican Party to say that I challenged him. That I alone had the nerve to stand up to him.
Well, Mike Pence
And
can say, I didn't challenge him and I had no nerve whatsoever. Wouldn't I be a better president given all those factors?
Mike Pence could say that, he tried to kill me and I still remained loyal to him.
Because it wasn't personal. It was business.
Right. It was, if you just look at any of those Godfather movies, and they'll tell you that it's not personal. It's just business.
It's business, Tom.
It's business. Now you going to come with me on these things I got to do? Here we go again.
Here we go again. And his answer was in Italian.
That's postal. That's postal.
It's postal.
Oh, man.
I'm coming.
Yeah. So, well, we it always feels good when pitchers and catchers are in camp. I don't like these rule changes. Nikki Haley should be the next commissioner of baseball. And the XFL, is it the XFL or the USFL?
USFL.
The USFL is mere weeks away. Because I was saying to myself, Michael, just a couple of weeks ago, we don't have enough football.
Well, after the Super Bowl, that is the feeling that many sports fans linger with. They just can't sleep.
I'm not one of them. I had just enough football this year.
Yeah, don't you want to know where Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr and some of the other quarterbacks on the loose, Jimmy Garoppolo, you don't want to know where they're going?
Well, I'm sure they'll call me and tell me when they're ready to go.
Aaron Rodgers has been touted as being the answer to the Jets' quarterback problems.
Yeah, I think that he'll follow in Brett Favre's footsteps like he did. It's funny. I mean, for a guy that wanted to erase the legend of Brett Favre in Green Bay, he's pretty much sounds like he's duplicating his career.
Well, when you get toward the end, there's only one thing you can do. Two, you can get traded and end up with a team that doesn't suit your needs, or quit. And I don't know if he wants to quit. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, if Tom Brady has shown us anything, it's that you can kill anybody. No, I mean, you can.
We're back again. And I'm seeing the scene in the airport. Here comes, and there's Tom Brady. And,
down goes Lansky. Down goes Lansky.
Now who's being naive, Senator?
Yeah. What was I? Oh yeah. Tom Brady has shown us that you can play until you're, what is he, 45, 46, whatever, 44?
He is 40, on his way to 46.
Yeah, I mean, so.
But he's only been retired a couple of weeks. Anything could happen.
Well, yeah, but he's taken a year off, and then he's going to.
Did you put it in his papers?
Yeah, I think he did put it in his papers. I think he's taken a year off, and then he signed a deal with Fox.
Typical.
To be their,
he's going to follow. He's going to follow the late night. He'll be the late night with Brady on Fox.
You know what? It probably will be. I mean, here's a guy that basically can have, do whatever he wants to do. The Mannings have done that perfectly, I think.
Beautifully.
I mean, they're moved over to the mainstream American, crowd.
They do play-by-play. They can coach. They can inspire their own teams. They can speak from experience. They can do potato chip commercials. What do you want?
Yeah,
you can do it.
They're seamless. They're seamless.
We are the two quarterback stars.
And, will Tom Brady be able to do that? I mean, all indications say he will. He's already branched out in doing commercials for other things. He's already got that nutrition line.
He's got a handsome face for endorsing products, but he's not as clever as the brother at.
Mannings. Well, the Mannings, they have there's something about the Mannings
Like
that
and don't you root for Eli? Don't you root
yeah,
for him because he's the
yeah.
baby?
It's almost like the modern day version of the Smothers Brothers.
Yes, mom
Y-
liked you best.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's almost the modern day version of the Smothers Brothers. That you have two guys who have this great resume of playing football, and now have moved into the entertainment realm.
Yep,
And not only are they doing their play-by-play stuff, they're producing stuff. They have a film company. They're moving again. They realize that they are entertainers.
they are a product, and they are providing content.
Right. They're providing content to uh, people that need it, and they're good at it. They're
They are.
eminently watchable. You care about them.
The funny thing
You know.
is to see Peyton Manning jump out of his chair and yell at the screen, "What are we running for? What are we running for? Why are you kicking? What are you doing?" Throwing it to the flat. He gets outraged when the NFL wastes a play by doing something stupid. He cannot tolerate the inability of the quarterback to demand the best from his team.
And it seems genuine.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't. Tom Brady seems contrived to me. I mean, it's almost like he's got a cadre of people who are saying, "We'll do this and walk this way and go that way." The Mannings just seem to kind of be being the Mannings.
yep.
They look like, now I don't know them personally, but they look like if you knocked on their door at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon,
That's what you
uh,
get.
that you know they'd come to the door and that's who they'd be. One would be yelling at the other one, and the wives would be yelling at each other. The kids and
I like the unscripted moments. Peyton Manning said something in one of the last games that was wrong. He made a comment that was wrong. He said, "I'm a little off today," and his brother Eli jumps in and says, "Today? You think you're a little off today?" It was an immediate jump that only a brother can do, following every word of his older brother. "I made a mistake." "You made a what?" "Say that again." I just love the give and take between the brothers, especially when
yeah.
Eli asked the guests a question. Our guest today is New York Vinnie. Vinnie, have you ever heard anything that Peyton has said that made sense to you? This Omaha thing. Did anybody ever really believe that?
No, I haven't really. No,
No.
no. Yeah, they're masters at that. Whoever, and I don't think that's something you really teach somebody. I think that's
No.
something that
That's
you
that's
have.
gold. That's just the relationship is golden.
Yeah, you have that, and they are able to make that translate to a television screen.
And as they
Uh,
say in Puyallup, when it comes to a Heward, there's another one coming up. There's yet another quarterback to yet be dealt with. I don't know if he's going to. I don't know if he's going to make it
Stop
to the
them!
pros.
Please stop them! There's another Ewan on the way. I forget who is it. Damon's son, or is I forget what's I forget what the relationship is, or is he their younger brother? I forget.
Well, there's a couple. There's a couple of them that have been cast off because they wanted to be deep backs or defensive linemen. I want to play a defensive end. Oh, you can't be a defensive end. We're
Can't be
quarterbacks.
Ewan if you're going to do that.
I don't want to be a quarterback. I like defensive end. I like catching the quarterback and throwing him on the ground. Whoa!
That's not going to score you points at Thanksgiving dinner. That's for sure.
No, mom. You're going to
That's
feed
for
him. You're going to feed him here with the rest of us. All the rest of us at the table are quarterbacks. But Biff here wants to be a defensive lineman, so I say he gets no turkey
yeah.
or
No,
dressing.
we'll end his whole thing right now. All right, Mikey. We are there. We have hit
Magic
the
button.
end sign on the frontage road of this radio program.
The day the signs disappeared.
I like that. I think that could be a movie. I think there's a
And they find all this. They find all the signs in the rest stop on Highway 99 outside of Visalia.
there's a Netflix movie there at the very least. and maybe a TV series as well. The day the signs disappeared.
I mean, that ridiculous thing they have where the hole opens up in the middle of Wilshire Boulevard and the saber-toothed tigers and mastodons are at the bottom of it. And everybody that falls into the hole doesn't die from falling miles into a hole. No, they spend the rest of their time taking a Chevy Trailblazer running away from saber-toothed tigers.
I think that's and I think Chevy would be happy if that happened.
Where do you get gas if you suddenly go back 350 million years?
Well, it's probably being made right in front of you.
By the way, the La Brea tar pits are not tar.
What are they?
It's asphalt, natural asphalt.
Is it really?
Yes.
Now, are there roads that have been paved in L.A. with the stuff in that pit?
Probably not. In fact, when you walk around that thing, you better watch what you wear because the ground all around that area, the grass on the walkways and everything is bubbling up black asphalt.
Really?
It's a natural occurrence, and that's why it trapped mastodons, saber-toothed tigers, dire wolves, all the animals that are trapped there. When LA was a little more dangerous than it is now. Hollywood is still dangerous. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But no saber-toothed tigers, no mastodons, no dire wolves.
You know, I've never been to the La Brea tar pits, and I more and more as I hear more about them, I think that's the next time I'm in Southern California, that's got to be a stop.
I did a report from KFWB from the bottom of pit number 43.
And how was that for you?
It was fun. I had a scientist with me, so I felt safe.
Yeah, well, then you're not a Republican.
And I said, what are we going to do the day the signs all disappear? What will we do? We'll need a scientist to help us make the freeway.
Sorry, we've sent them all to Spolpakia.
How am I going to get to Canoga Park? I don't even know where it is.
There's no signs. All of a sudden, the signs have disappeared. Well, you know what the sign said, Michael?
What did they say?
Long-haired freaky people need not apply.
Oh, sign. They're putting up the sign.
Sign.
Everybody down to the 5-man electric band.
Yep. All right, Mikey. I'll see you Friday if the Lord's willing, the creek don't rise.
It will be a freaky fractious Friday. Trust me.
It will be something out of the La Brea tar pits. Until then, Mikey, peace, love, and Manischewitz, and thank you all for listening to our show.
What a wine.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that like button if you're on YouTube. We need you. Please hit those buttons. Don't hit them too hard, but hit them. Okay?
And you'll need us to get around because tomorrow's the day the signs disappeared.
We're the only ones that are going to know. You'll have to call into us on Friday and ask us which way am I going here. I'm on the corner of I don't know. There's no sign.
I'm right here in the corner of I haven't the faintest idea.
I'm here. I don't know where I am, but I'm somewheres.
Take a left on the faintest idea. When you see the Capitol building, call me.
All right, Mikey. Take care.
See you, Vinnie. Bye.
Bye-bye.